said, "What?"
I got home this afternoon, man. I
That
got
is
home this
crazy.
afternoon.
But sadly, that's like I said, you see it all the time. You fly out of here and to fly somewhere and not have no money or anything. That's
Hey, you gotta have some flow.
I
I
mean, I
think
get it.
that's
I understand if
important.
you're a student or something like that,
You-
and so you really don't have any money, but
If it's tight and you
if
gotta
it's
like
tight,
get
but yeah, I mean,
somewhere and you gotta
you're
rebook a flight. If not, you're gonna wait,
you're gonna
right?
wait.
Or you're gonna sleep in the airport or whatever and just wait for it. So yeah, it's that's not something I want to do again, but I understand. I was like, if it's during what was it? Like holiday season, I'd be like, oh, okay, I can understand the delay in that sense,
Yeah.
but not
But
right
and they
now.
had the kids with you too and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Master Your Money with Eric Anderson. I'm your host, Isaac Rowe, and we got a phenomenal topic for you guys this evening. I want y'all to drop in the chat. Let us know you can hear us, that you're here with us today to talk about some finances, your personal finances. If you want to drop us a comment in the chat box, let us know where you are tuning in from. That would be great. I know it's on YouTube and all the other different social media outlets, but be sure to let us know as it's going out into the world. You're tuning in. Let us know.
So besides that, sir, how was your week? Let me stop. See, let me stop. I'll just try to make light of it.
He trying to make light of it. He trying to make light of
I
it.
mean, I mean, you home and safe, but
Hey,
it's
hey,
crazy.
it was rough. It was rough, man. That 6 a.m. flight was no joke. But hey, we gotta make it happen. So that's really good. Hey everyone. How's it going? How's it going? Let us know. Let me go ahead and do like this.
And we've been doing little current events between us all this weekend.
Yeah, the current events.
I know you're not surprised. I mean, come on, Isaac.
Hey, there was some other stuff on that last one.
Come on, Isaac.
I everybody had different comments. I was like, hey, I said they were like, oh yeah, why did it was the bank's fault? There was a whole bunch of
No,
other stuff.
it wasn't the bank's fault.
At
A-
the end
a-
of the day,
a- a-
it
No,
wasn't
at
the
the end of the day,
accountant's
no, it
fault.
isn't. Again, and we can get into that because that is part of one of the things that we try to talk about when all these people run out here and scam and do all this stuff to get all these loans that you cannot afford to pay back, and then have the audacity to say, "Well, that's your fault for loaning me the money." What? That's your fault for letting me drive out the lot with the car or whatever.
You
You
said you
know,
wanted a Mercedes Benz,
correct. But if you
and
can't
you
afford it, you
upset
need to
you
leave it
can't
there.
afford the upkeep
Correct.
and the maintenance for it.
Correct. Or you go
Really?
out here and get these business loans, and again, your business is not profitable like that in this situation. I really don't want to do it because everybody going to get mad at because we're not allowed to talk about these type of situations because we are just so ingrained in our heads in believing that somebody's out to get her, somebody's out to do this. But like they said, if you just read the court documents, she was out here doing some foolishness, point blank.
Yeah.
But no one wants to take a look at that. No one wants to see that. All you see is she's successful. She became more successful than anybody expected her to become. So now y'all are trying to tear her down. It's like I say all the time. They might have shot you, but you gave them the gun,
Right.
and that's the part we don't want to understand. How, how you going to talk to me about me going to prison or whatever for taxes if I don't file my taxes? Correct.
You're right.
If I don't
Right.
file my taxes, then how are you out to get me? I'm supposed to file my taxes. My business is supposed to file its taxes. I'm supposed to have these reports if these type of people are giving me loans and stuff like that, and I'm not paying these loans back. You don't think they're going to start, looking into your finances, trying to figure out why you can't pay them back, even though you're out here spending all this money and doing all this stuff on social media, like you're balling. but you're not paying these loans back. And then everybody says it's because they're out to get you. They're not. And even if they are, you're giving them all the opportunities in the world to get you. So you really can't blame anybody for that. If you, again, if you're handing them the gun, you can't be mad when they shoot you, point blank.
Right. Right. Yes.
But today's topic,
Yeah. I'm gonna do this. All right. I think we're gonna go ahead and jump right in here. As everybody's tuning in this evening, I know we're kind of shooting the breeze as we've had interesting weekends.
decompressing, yeah, because we're
Interesting
just getting
weekend
together because we ain't talked all this today or
and
yesterday.
current events. So
Because
we're
I
trying to catch each other up on what's been happening
because
in life.
Isaac's been out of pocket for this weekend unexpectedly for a couple of the last days. He was not expected to
Yeah,
be out of pocket.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But hey, those of you tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you can hear us, let us know you're there. But we're gonna get started this evening. So today's topic is with Master Your Money with Eric Anderson, the biggest wealth killers nobody warned you about. And so when we talk about that topic, um, I guess I'm gonna ask you something. It's like, well, have you ever looked around and wondered how's everybody doing? Right? You see people buying houses, neither here nor there, taking vacations, driving new cars, eating at nice restaurants or the newest restaurant that popped up, that's higher price, right? They're posting family pictures and doing different things. If you're honest, parts of you probably wondering, like, am I behind? Right? Like, am I missing something? They're able to do that. And I realized when I was traveling, I was like, everybody got money for tickets? Because I know I just spent about 3 grand on tickets that because I had to use different airlines just so I could get somewhere, right? It is what it is. But I'm like, well, dang, everybody got money to just be traveling like that all the time. Especially when you see certain people in like first class or something, like they got these miles and stuff. I'm like, where are they going with the whole family and stuff? But I did say, well, like, did I miss something? Am I the only one? If you ever think about, it's like, are you the only one struggling? And I can think this is what very few people kind of talk about. Um, but in a sense, it's just really thinking about certain things the pressure, the mistakes, the regret, decisions that we make that shape our everyday life. I know we talked about last time that every financial decision has a consequence, right? Um, and I don't know, Eric, just when you hear that and you think about that, what are some of the biggest wealth killers that nobody warned you about, or we should be looking out for? And yeah.
So for me, it's more, I would call it opportunity cost. So a big way of saying that, just like you said, um, if I sat back and said, okay, how do I want to retire or how do I retire? Do I put money into these accounts and let these accounts grow? Do I start this business? Do I do these type of things with my money? Or like you said, do I go buy that new car and now I have this car payment every month that is killing my income? So now I can't invest the way I need to invest every month. I'm not even getting into the argument of if I need to put into a 401k, if I need to put into crypto, if I need to put into IUL. That's not the point. The point is I'm doing things that are keeping me from being able to invest and grow my wealth. We're not even going to get into the different types of ways that you can invest in because that's going to throw us off target and that's going to really mess up the conversation. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, if you are trying to build wealth and trying to grow, it's going to take income. It's going to take money to do that. And so if you only have a certain amount of money, you need to be wise with what you do with that money. So when you see people like me stress that you need to be investing 10, 15 to 20% of your income into something, be it an emergency fund, a savings account, a 401k, an IRA, a SEP IRA, a solo 401k, an IUL, anything, real estate, any types of things like that to start growing your wealth. One of the biggest killers that we have is, like you said, at the end, once people get paid, depending on what your fixed expenses are and what your variable expenses are, a lot of people end up saying they're living check to check and don't have the ability to invest. So
Hmm.
that is definitely a big killer because, just starting early, time value of money, compound interest, things like that, if you wait, if you keep on saying I'm going to go live my best life first and once I've done all this stuff, gone to all these places, killed my bucket list and stuff, now I'm going to start investing because now I'm more focused on retiring. It really, really can mess up you being able to retire. I'm laughing because I think I sent it to you while you were on vacation. There's all these videos now of all these young kids who are saying that they're taking their 401ks and cashing them out and living their
Mm.
best life because everybody's saying there's no way you're going to retire. Everybody's saying, a retirement's a joke. No one's going to retire. But I was, doing a little studying before we got on here, and I saw, that 63% of Gen Zers are 401k millionaires, right? They've put enough money in over time to be able to retire millionaires. While you see all these videos of people telling you that 401k is a scam, you don't save any money in 401k. You can't retire with a 401k. Gen Xers are 57% of millionaires. People who are millionaires from their 401ks. But again, all these young people steadily tell you who obviously have not even begun starting to invest or save or do any of these type of things, that everybody's telling each other that you're an absolute fool to put money into a 401k, save for retirement, do all these type of things to build up wealth. Only fools do that. So I believe if we were to say what's the big wealth killer, it's in a lot of ways it's social media.
Wow. Okay.
Because we have all these people who think
Mm.
they know what they're talking about and steadily tell people, how 401ks are scams or things like this, or like someone telling you that owning a home's a scam. Yet 88% of millionaires own their property. But people steadily tell you that millionaires don't own property, don't own their home. All you gotta do is Google it. 88% of millionaires own a primary residence. Grant Cardone owns a residence. He said it in a video, but he's telling you guys not to own a residence. And we believe it.
I
And
know
we
I
believe
know I think we'll get taken out of context because what he's saying is don't have your the cash flow pay for
nope,
your house, right?
nope, nope, nope. He said you're an absolute fool to own a home. He said that's 30 years of you not being able to move, you not being able to go anywhere. He's talking about property tax. I know I saw him break it down. He broke it down. He made you sound like you're an absolute fool to own your home. You could be investing that money and all these other things and things like that. Now, the interesting part is
Okay.
I've said time and time again, everybody is not financially equipped to own a home.
Correct.
Had a conversation today. We're still arguing about my roof.
Dang.
We're still having a conversation about that. It's not really an argument. I'm just sitting back, just letting them go back and forth on it. But I'm going to have to come off of money from my roof. If I was renting, I wouldn't, right? I wouldn't say anything, but like, hey, just go fix my roof. But since I
Yeah.
own it, I'm gonna have to pay, the what do you call it? The deductible for my roof and anything else that happens in your house. So if you're somebody who really does not have a lot of money, you're living check to check, and things like that happen in your home, so basically you're considered, house poor and things like that. Yeah, I totally agree. Everybody should not have a home, but to tell everybody you're an absolute fool to own a home when that is probably one of the biggest parts of people's net worth because of the equity and the appreciation that it builds into it. If I own my house for 30 years, you can talk all day about how much I spent on, all that, but my house is paid off in 30 years. I
Yeah.
can sell my house I have equity in my home. I could do a reverse mortgage. I could sell it. I could do all types of things with my home. I can't do anything if I'm renting,
Oh,
correct? And it
yeah.
kind of goes back to the same thing when we have the argument between term and whole life or IULs. When people talk about putting all this money in an IUL or a whole life insurance policy, as opposed to somebody who owns term, what is the big argument? When somebody says, well, if I own term, if I outlive it, all the money's gone. But then you would say, well, you need to be investing, right? So if I'm supposedly spending less money renting as opposed to owning, then I should be taking that money to do that, right? The
Right.
same thing applies. But most people who are renting, they're not investing, even though they're saying that's the reason why they're renting is because, oh, instead of me owning a home and having to pay all these extra things, I'm just renting and I know what my rent is every month. Okay, perfect. So are you investing that extra money instead of the person who's paying the extra money, but they're building all this equity in that home? They're building all this equity and this appreciation in that home and they can sell it. So again, that's another wealth killer. When people talk about your net worth and things like that, again, most people, their home is a huge part of their net worth. When people get closer to retirement and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah.
You can sell your home and go move to Florida, do whatever you want to do, as opposed to someone who's just renting. So when I say social media is in a whole lot of ways because there's so many people, so many young people, so many people. When I see a lot of these videos, when I see people who are selling fixed annuities and selling IULs and tearing up 401ks and tearing up IRAs and stuff like that, it's like you went to a course to be able to sell this product. So now you think you know actual finances. You think you can actually have a conversation on a full scope on what somebody needs to be looking at in their portfolio. Again, I'll be fair. I'll be fair. It says a huge amount of people who are millionaires actually own IULs. Why do you think that's the case?
They had enough money to have an IUL,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
They need to
Exactly.
diversify their portfolio at that point,
Exactly.
right?
And again, I totally agree. That is something that is growing tax free and it's another part of your, financial portfolio, that, you can annuitize it and take it out every month, stuff like that. I totally agree. But usually the people who you're talking to, when you're pitching an IUL to these people, again, it goes back to the conversation we had with the barber. He's not a candidate for an IUL, but that's what you were trying to sell him. He was not a good candidate for somebody to have a conversation about an IUL. And to sit and have a conversation with this young man and tell him he's a fool to get term when he's 25 years old and has a 3 and a 2-year-old and no spouse, and you're telling him he's a fool to get term insurance to protect his kids, you're doing that kid a disservice,
Right.
point blank. And
Yeah.
that's the conversation we don't wanna have. So, I know people wanna get mad when I say that, when I say that is part of our wealth killer is so many people it's so much stuff out here, it's hard if you like I said, people call me all the time, people send me emails all the time, people sit down and say they wanna have a conversation all the time because they wanna basically because again, we can talk about anything you want. I have all the degrees, all the licenses, and all that stuff. So if you want to talk about life insurance, cool. I have a group one. So we can talk about life insurance. We can talk about disability. We can talk about long term care, knock stuff out. You want to talk about retirement planning? I have my series licenses. You want to talk about finances? I have my degrees. We can sit down and talk about anything you want to talk about. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm just saying I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to let you come in here and be laser focused on trying to sell you a fixed annuity because that's what I sell. I'm not going to be laser focused on trying to sell you an IUL because all I sell is IULs. So I'm going to be laser focused on trying to get you to buy an IUL, even though that's probably something that is not something that you should be looking at this moment. So again, it's not knocking IULs, it's not knocking fixed annuities, it's not knocking anything. It's you really need to think about are you doing best for your client when you're trying to sell them this product? And a lot of times that is not the case. You just learn how to sell one thing and you're just laser focused and spending all your time giving horrible information, mind you.
Right.
Not
Right.
just giving information, you're giving horrible information when you tell somebody, "I have a 401k, and when I start taking money out of it, I lose 50% after 59 and a half." How in the hell is that possible? That doesn't make any sense. Or to say to somebody, "Do you know something that has been tax deferred when I put it in there? When you take it out, can you believe you gotta pay taxes?" I think that's why I put it in there, because it was tax deferred when I started putting it in there. So I'd expect to pay taxes when I take it out. But they make it seem like it's this horrible, horrible, horrible situation as far as you doing that to try to build up money for your retirement. And again, we have the numbers that show all these people who are retiring millionaires through their 401k. Whenever you see people do these videos and stuff like that, you see people on the comments saying, "Nope, I have a 401k. I have 2.5 million. I have 3.6 million. I have all this money in my 401k because I started early, I maxed it out, or I put a certain amount in it and I just let it grow." All the statistics show that to be true. But again, when we see these people on here who are trying to tell you otherwise, because again, they are laser focused on trying to sell you a fixed annuity, or laser focused on trying to sell you an IUL. So we get caught up in those type of things, and then that again can really stunt your building wealth, your building growth, because you can really truly be doing something that is not the right product or the right thing that you should be doing in this situation.
That's really good, Eric. Because what I'm hearing, the first one you said was like the social media aspect of the misinformation, right? So that misinformation. So wherever you got that information from is entering in your mind and thinking you can do these other things to be able to make some more money or empty out your 401k. And some people do empty out their 401k to start a business, right? So and they're like, well, you're gonna, and that I see a clip on that, like, hey, no, pull your money, get your money together and go start your business and da 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 da. And then there's the credit, get you some business credit, your credit, all that kind of stuff. But they're like, hey, well, you already got money right there. Just go ahead and use that to start your business. You're gonna be financial, you're gonna be wealthy and all this kind of stuff and sell you in a dream. And it's like, man, it you end up losing everything, right? You could it's
Because
a
most
risk
of the
on that,
people
right?
having that conversation telling you that do not own a business that's making money, but they're trying to tell you how easy it is to just drain out your
Yeah,
401k, and you're going to automatically have a successful business when we know the percentages and the numbers of businesses that don't succeed.
yeah. One of the other wealth killers I was thinking about was like, I know we talk about lifestyle creep, but like that lifestyle inflation, right? Like,
Correct.
and it goes kind of like when I was kind of speaking earlier, was like, where everybody's traveling, everybody's doing these things, and they're going out to eat and traveling trips, and I'm like, where all this money coming from,
Right. And
right?
again, it goes back to the opportunity cost of saying, um, I don't want to put 6% or whatever the match is of my 401k and do an IRA or do a brokerage account. Again, whatever it is that you want to do as far as growing wealth, the
Yeah.
point is you're not doing it
Mm,
because you rather go on trips, you rather buy that car, you rather do those type of things. Again, let's not get caught up in somebody saying you don't know how 401ks work, forwards. That's not the point. If you're telling me I need to do an IUL, perfect. But I'm telling you, most people are not doing that either. They don't have any savings. They don't have any retirement. They don't have anything
right,
because they're living paycheck to paycheck because they're taking their money to go do all these other things as opposed to putting their money into some type of vehicle that is growing retirement.
hey, but Eric, they are living their best life right now.
Okay.
Eric, I'm just saying like that because I
Again,
just
like
I
I
just got
said,
back. I've been
like
observing
I
all
said,
weekend.
I totally understand.
All weekend.
I
So I'm
totally
like,
understand.
dang, they living their best life. They might not have any retirement, right? But right now, they are living their best life
Yep, I totally
at
understand.
the current state of health and all that. And now what you're telling me, if I don't have it anyway, what is it gonna do me, right? What is that
Exactly.
person? What would you say to that person? Is like, well, I ain't got nothing but like $1,000 in I got my maybe like 10,000 in my 401k. I'm probably not never gonna retire. I might as well take that and go take my whole family on a nice trip.
It's a whole different conversation when you're 55, 60, and now you don't have the time to catch up. And now you're scrambling and you're saying, I'm not gonna be able to retire, or I can start now. But again, the money, the opportunity,
Yep.
I mean, the time value money, the accumulation, compound interest, all that good stuff, all that is out the window. Because when I had the opportunity to just take a little bit of my money and start young, again, like I said, it's like starting with a child and just putting a couple $100 a year or whatever, um, to do. I don't even know who that is. For you just to do that for a child, like if you were to do that for your children, and just do a couple hundred, and then when they turn 21 or whatever, just stop, and just let it grow on its own till they're 65, right? They're going to be millionaires, correct?
Yeah.
And that's just starting at a certain age and just letting that put it in the right thing and just letting it grow. But again, we don't have we we have the conversation. We're having the conversation right now. We have the conversation, but the problem is there's somebody else on the other side who's telling you the opposite. They're saying you're crazy. You need to, all these people who say, I don't care about the penalties of taking it out. I don't care that, I'm killing my future. I'm not gonna be able to retire anyway. I'm just gonna live my life. 401ks are trash, they're scams anyway, and stuff like that. And older people are looking at you like they're just shaking their head, because they're like, you have no idea what you're talking about right now. You have no idea how that's gonna feel for you when you're 55, 60 years old, looking around, talking about how am I gonna retire when all you had to do, again, I'm not saying to live like a pauper. I didn't say that. I didn't say live like a pauper. But again, we can do some whiteboard stuff if you want to, where, hey, if you just do a couple thousand a year, not a month, a year, a couple thousand a year into accounts that are giving you the 10% or whatever, you can retire a millionaire. But you know what the problem with that is too, Isaac? All the people say, what's $1 million? Okay. That's nothing. Okay. And these are people who are making nowhere near that. Making nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Nowhere near that. But they're saying, man, you must be crazy. That's nothing. Or who wants to wait till they're 65 to be a millionaire?
You know,
You're right.
I've had that conversation.
Had that conversation.
I was like, well, I don't want to wait till I'm 65 and be no millionaire. But yet the ones that are living 65 living nice but
Some of them are even really at 50, 55.
yeah, yeah,
That's one of the
yeah,
biggest conversations when people say you're a fool because you got to wait till you're 59 and a half to take it out. And some people are like, no, rule of 55. Or people say, no, I have a brokerage account.
yeah.
I have a brokerage account. I'm taking money out of the brokerage account, so I don't got to touch my 401k. So I had a brokerage account that was growing money in it as well, so I can retire and live from my brokerage account until I get to retirement age and start taking my retirement out. But again, those aren't real conversations. The conversation is you. Can I cuss?
You make us at all. So
So I'm
you already
sitting in the
got
car
one.
playing
You already
spin
got
that
one
shit.
in there. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I'm sitting in the car playing spin that shit, thinking that's funny and thinking it's cute. It's not. It's really and truly not, Isaac. It's not. It's not. Try being 60, 65 years old and being broke. That's crazy. But when you're 25, you think it's cute. You think it's funny because you're living your life. And it's like you really need to get a mentor. You really need to get somebody to sit down and have a conversation with you and say it's not gonna be that cute when you're 60, 65 years old because you wanted to live your best life and now you're gonna struggle in retirement.
Eric.
And again, I'm not saying you need to live like a pauper. I'm not. If you put 10 to 15% of your income away into some type of retirement account, you'll be fine. If you want to do all these other things, once you do that, you'll be fine. The point is, that is the last thing on our mind is paying ourselves first. You do everything else except for pay yourself. People come in here and I say, what is your 401k match? And they say, I have no idea. There are people out here walking on this earth who still say that, Isaac,
Wow.
who are giving away free money.
Giving away free money.
There are people still walking and breathing on this earth who say, I have no clue what my company matches at my job. And it's money that comes right out of your check, so you wouldn't even see it. While you're living check to check, you wouldn't even see it. It comes right out of your pay before you even get paid. And the company is matching. But again, there's all these videos of people telling you, do you know that the 401k is for them to be able to write that off? So the hell what? It's free money to you. What does that matter that they can write it off? It's free money to you. But your logic is that's a scam because they're able to write it off on because the company's able to write it off on their taxes. So you're gonna give up this free money because you think it's a scam because that company's able to write it off.
That's wild, man.
These are wealth killers, as they say. These are the type of things that we watch and we see and we believe. If you talk to people who have owned their home for years and talk about the equity in the home, the ability to borrow money out of it, the ability to um, move out of that home, move to another home, and start renting that home out, and have all the equity and appreciation, everything in that home when you go to your newer home, or sell that home and take that money to down payment on your new home and things like that. To still hear people say that you're a fool to own your home is wild.
That's wild.
I can see it from the standpoint again, if you go and buy a home and you're house poor. There's a difference between somebody going and buy a house and being house poor, or someone in their mind saying, I'm never going to go buy a house because Grant Cardone told me that I'm a fool because I own a home, but he owns one. He doesn't. We watched the video. He said, I own a home. He said he owns three. We watched the video. But why does he tell everybody? Why does he tell everybody not to own a home? Because he wants everybody to buy rental properties.
That is a lot of work that you don't
Especially,
even like, to be honest, and that's when we talk about business and stuff like that. It's like your work ethic ain't even there
no,
for you to be
especially
doing no
for
business.
I hate to use the word, a broke person.
Yeah.
And I gave you an example while we were talking. My roof.
Yeah.
What did I say? I said, if I live here and I'm renting, I don't care what y'all do. Fix the roof.
Yeah.
Is what I said. If I'm
Yeah.
if I'm renting this house and they're walking around saying, "Hey, your roof needs to be fixed," what you telling me for? Fix it. Not trying to be funny, right? What are you telling me for? Fix it. I'm renting.
This ain't mine.
This ain't mine.
This ain't my responsibility.
It's not my responsibility. But they make you believe that if I'm renting it out, I'm
Mhm.
gonna make all this money again. Before we go there, I'm not trying to say there are not people out here who do not make money renting properties, but I know a whole lot of clients who are not. And they have these type of situations. You have squatters, you have people who are late, you have people who are tearing stuff up, you have things that happen that you got to pay for as the landlord owner of that property that people don't talk about. That's that's the funny part. That's why what's his name, Remet, says that you should rent. Because he said
Yeah.
all you do is pay your rent.
Yeah.
No matter, like you said, no matter what happens, all you do is pay your rent. All your appliances can go out today, but all you got to do is pay the rent. They got to come fix it. So when you think about it from that standpoint, correct. But you're telling me to be the owner. You're
Yeah.
telling me to be the owner. You're telling me to own these properties and rent them out. So I'm the person that you're saying has to take care of it. And if I'm living check to check and don't have reserves and don't have stuff like that, how do I pay for these things?
Yeah. And I want to add, Eric, because would you say that even though I'm a person that is renting, and even though I'm renting, I still should be investing that 10%, right,
Correct. Just
of
like
my income?
somebody, it's like that's the argument with term. When people say, "I save all this money with term," exactly, you get way more coverage and it's way less for term as opposed to an IUL or a whole life. But the part that people miss, which the Dave Ramseys and all the people say, you need to be taking that extra money and invest in it. Because when you outlive this policy, you should be what's called self-insured.
Yeah.
You should have been investing that money to now when you get to after 20, 30 years and whenever the policies is ran out, you should have all this money in these accounts. But if all you're doing is taking that money and doing other stuff with it, after 20, 30 years, now you're 60, 65 years old looking for a policy just to be able to be buried in, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key. It's the work of doing the things of building wealth. If you're not going to build wealth again, like I said, I'm not here to argue about whole lives or IULs or any of that thing. But again, if your avenue is saying, I'm going to get a term policy because I want to have as much coverage as possible to take care of my kids, to be able to pay off the house and stuff like that. But 30 years from now, 20, 30 years from now, I won't have any of these bills. The kids will be grown and stuff like that. So now I won't need all this insurance. Hopefully, you're taking that other money and investing it. So when you get to that age, you have all this money to be basically self-insured,
Yeah.
as opposed to the person who has the whole life insurance policy or the IUL or whatever, who's been putting money into it. So then that's the person who says, "Oh, I can annuitize this whole life or this IUL. I can take money out of it and stuff like that." Again, I'm not here to argue that. I'm not here to argue on what is better or whatever, because again, that's missing the whole point. Like I keep saying, the point is you need to be doing something.
Yeah.
And most people are doing nothing, and that's the problem.
I think that goes to the, yes, so into one of the other wealth killers is waiting, is what I'm
Correct.
hearing, right? Like waiting to invest, waiting to save, waiting to buy life insurance, waiting that it's bad when you waited too late and you can't do nothing
Correct.
about it. We got to do a
Can't do nothing
GoFundMe,
about it.
right? Like
Correct.
that's a real thing. That's a real thing. Waiting to create a budget, waiting till next year, waiting till I get like a big lump sum of money and then I'll or if I get this or when I get there and we just keep pushing back, not realizing we are when you talked about earlier, when you're 55, 60, you can't get more time.
No.
That's what I was saying. Like you had all that time, but you couldn't get back that time. And the folks that are now like in their 50s trying to do catch up right now, they don't have enough time,
Yeah, it's not even
right?
about money. Like you said, it's time. It's
It's the
time.
time
The
aspect of
time
it.
value money,
It
the
wasn't even the
compound
money.
interest.
It
Yeah,
was the time
that's the
aspect of
part
it.
again, that's the part when people are talking about financial literacy and understanding how finances and how money and things like that work, that's the part you're missing.
Yeah,
Is you cannot make up time. I can dump a whole bunch of money in it, yeah, and then to continue to grow it, but I don't have to put all that money in it if I'm letting time and compound interest and all that. If I'm letting that work, I don't have to put all that money in it. I don't have to max out my 401k. I don't have to do those things if I start when I'm 20, 25 years old, or if I'm 16 years old and I open up a Roth, or my parents open up something for me when I'm a child and things like that, and I just let it grow. Again, no judgment or anything like that. Good for you if that's the situation that works out for you. But the problem is it's almost paralysis by analysis. We see so much stuff on social media. It's kind of confusing. It's kind of confusing to know what to do.
yeah,
It's kind of confusing to know what to do because you could be sitting here thinking, one minute I heard somebody tell me to immediately start putting money in the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 has a history of doing this, and if I just do that, I'm going to be good. If I just do these index funds and just keep on investing in that, I'm going to be good. Then all of a sudden, I'm on social media one day and all these people are telling me I'm crazy. So now I don't know what to do because I'm not ingrained in the financial literacy of understanding and knowing that no, what I'm doing is going to work. You don't know that. So you hear somebody else who tells you something that sounds good and makes sense to you. Now all of a sudden, I'm draining out my 401k to put in a bunch of crypto and things like that. Right?
yeah.
Happens all the time. Or like my man said, I'm running around doing options and stuff like that.
Oh man,
I took
I
all my
like
money out. Now I'm out here day trading
man.
because somebody told me he can teach me how to make all this money doing day trading. So I run out there and do that, even though I've been sitting here all this time. I have a path, I have a goal, I know what I want to accomplish, and I'm doing the things to accomplish it. But I don't have the patience, or I do not have the foundation of finances in my head to know that what I'm doing is correct because I let somebody come in. Even and the sad part is, Isaac, a lot of times, as we say all the time, if you just took 5 seconds, you would say, no, that's too good to be true, or that doesn't make sense. But for some reason, we are so fear of missing out, want to live this lifestyle, all these type of things that the foundations and the things that we know are true and that we know are going to work, we don't do them. We fall from the wayside of doing that because you watch some stranger tell you to do something else and then you jump on and go do that. You know, it's like the video we were joking around about when you left about the guy saying he's a UPS driver who takes his checks and puts them in a trust and then pays himself out of the trust. So by him putting the money in the trust and the trust paying his bills, not only does he not pay taxes, he's able to go back and take the money that was taken out of his W-2 job, the taxes taken out of that, and get that back too. I sound stupid as hell saying it. I
Yeah,
sound
I was
stupid
like,
as hell saying it, but you're watching all these people in the comments saying he's telling you all this incredible stuff. And I'm not gonna be rude. Most of y'all can't even afford to purchase a trust. Have you ever sat in front of a lawyer and had a conversation about doing a trust? I have for my parents, and we have estates and stuff like that. It's not cheap. It's not. Just to say you have a trust.
most of them you ain't got a living will.
Nope. Most people don't. You're right. Most people don't even have a will. But you see somebody come on here and tell you that if you have a trust, you don't. If you have a trust, throw your business in and all that stuff, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. And again, all you got to do is Google it. All you gotta do is Google it. All these different law offices and stuff like that pull it right up and explain to you what's the 37%. What is that? That's the tax rate that trusts pay after a certain amount of money. But trusts don't pay any taxes.
Whatever, again, what you said, somebody misinformation that was passed down by word of mouth. Um,
And all it takes is somebody sitting in a car, riding around, telling you this,
this
who
boy,
has not gone to anybody's class, who has no degrees. I say it all the time. What did I say in the video? How come you don't see people like JT, the tax leverage girl, people like that, people who are EAs, tax attorneys, things like that? Why do you never see them do videos? Talk about putting your stuff in a trust and do all these types of things. They would know this, right? They would know it. You don't ever see them tell anybody to do that. Like I said, I s- I even gave Carlton credit for that, unless I missed it. I said I've never even seen him say that stupidness.
yeah.
But absolute kids, not even kids and strangers tell you to go do all these type of things. Again, so we're clear, I did not say don't put your stuff in a trust. I did not say that. I said the reason why you think you're putting it in a trust is all wrong. I didn't say don't
Mm,
do a trust. I did not say don't put your stuff in a trust. I did not say that. The reason why people are running around thinking they need to put stuff in a trust makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. A lot of people who are talking about, "Oh, I need to have a trust. I need to do this and that." And you say, "Why do you need to do a trust?" If you say, "Oh, I want to make sure my kids are taken care of and, I don't want them to go through probate." So, okay, cool. Let's have that conversation. Because I was told that if I put this in here and this here and this here, it can't be touched. If I go buy a car and put the car in the trust, I can stop making car payments and they can't come get it because it's in a trust.
so I can open up a trust with $1,000, right, Eric?
Yeah. But
I can open a trust with $1,000 and I can go ahead and get a trust. Meanwhile, I may not have insurance
yeah, or a savings account,
or
or
a
an
savings
emergency fund,
account. And
or
if
emergency
I
fund.
were to have at least some insurance, if I suddenly passed away, couldn't I roll that into a trust or some
Correct.
other avenue that
Correct.
would
That's what I'm
have
talking about.
support
Those are the
for
type of
my
things that you're
family,
putting it into
correct?
the trust to be able to protect your family. But again, you hear stupid stuff like go open up a trust and do all this out of then you don't pay any taxes and all that stuff. It does not work like that. Matter of fact, certain trusts have nothing to do with your taxes. It's just a trust. You still have to file a regular 1040 return. You just own a trust. It has nothing to do with your taxes. Look it
Mm,
up. If you don't believe me, look it up. It
mm.
has nothing to do with taxes. So again, when I know we're getting off tangent, but again, when people say, when your question to me is, what are wealth killers? It's things like this. It's misinformation. That is the biggest wealth killer there out there. Out there, we fall for such craziness. We believe such stuff out here because we're not, again, it's not being stupid. It's you're not financially educated to understand that this does not make any sense. Yep. Ask him why.
I
Ask him
want
why.
to know why. Because I know I really do want to know
Ask
why.
him
If you used to own 10 houses and sold every one of them, and meanwhile, there's folks trying to build a portfolio of to have 10 homes. That's like the base, right? If you got at least 10 doors, right? It could be duplex, triplex, whatever, fourplex. 10 doors, you should be on your way to kind of
unless
have
you're
that
having all
flow.
types of drama in those 10 homes.
But that would be more like you can retire off of that, right? If
Not if you're
if you
having
don't
all
need
types of
much, if
trauma.
you can
Not
live off of
not
three grand when your house are paid off or something like that,
not if but again, if I own these homes and I'm having to pay mortgage on them, I'm having to pay property tax on them, and nobody's staying in those homes,
well, yeah.
or people are
But if they're
squatting and
cash
stuff like that.
flowing,
Yeah.
if they're
Correct.
cash flowing well,
That's the key word, if they're cash flowing.
oh
And not
dang.
and when we say cash flow,
If they're
we
cash
don't just
flow.
mean their rent compared to your mortgage. Cash flowing means, again, if anybody knows, cash flowing means if I own this property and I don't got to keep on going over there and fix everything, if I
Yeah.
don't got to spend all this money for a property manager and to fix all this stuff and all like that, that's cash flowing. It's almost like the video that I sent you of the young lady who said her business makes $5 million a year. She has 30 employees and she had to shut it down because she can't afford to live because she can't pay herself. Look at
Mm,
your face.
mm.
Look at your face. To say I make all this money, but my again, like John O'Brien said, when your outflows outweigh your inflows, your overhead is your downfall. Think about it. When your outflows are more than your inflows, your overhead is your downfall.
That's
I'm
good.
not cash flowing.
Yeah.
So I can own all the properties in the world, but if I'm not cash flowing those properties, and in his case, he probably don't want the drama of having to go over there and keep on dealing with these people and having to go get this money and having to deal with people calling all the time and all kinds of, I mean, there's a whole world. Correct. No, we have not talked about a HELOC. We have not talked about a HELOC. Oh, all of them were paid off. Well, see, so they should be cash flowing, but again, it was too much work. Yeah. So he decided that it was much easier, which I see all the time. He felt it was just much easier to sell them and just put them into a what is that, an ETF?
Yeah. VOO. Yeah, I think that is. He
So
said he's
he felt that was just easier.
much better play.
Yeah.
I guess it's a
Less
piece
stressful. Yeah,
of
less
peace,
stressful.
right?
Yeah, peace of
Like
mind.
my money's growing. I'm able to live off of it. But I mean, to even get there, right? To get there is nice because
Correct.
you put all that into something, but it's hard to put something into something you didn't build nothing, right?
Correct.
Like you wouldn't be able to get that amount of money and by working a W-2, right? Like as far as like the value of what those 10 homes probably cost, paid off all that and then the profit off of that and then put it into something, a vehicle at that amount of money. that will produce uh some income.
It would be hard depending on where you work and all sounds like you're correct. But a
Yeah.
lot of people, like they said, you might get a starter home and then, you know, move out of that starter home or take equity out of that starter home and go buy another property and then take the equity out and do another property. You know, how you continue to grow it like that. And then, you know, the people, if they're actually standing there and doing that to get it to where you can pay them back off and stuff like that, like he says, to where it's to the point where where they're all paid off and stuff like that. Oh, it's done. After the 10-year, if you have a 10-year policy, that's it. It's done. You can renew it, but you'd have to start out at the new age and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's done. So, that's why
So
most people get, 20 or 30-year policies.
so I just mapped this out. And I think this is one of the killers too, was I was gonna get back to it, was not having a written plan, not having a plan,
Correct.
not discussing your budget, having goals, your investments, retirement, like estate planning. That's estate planning of all will, all that good stuff.
Yeah, because
So I
all those
guess
type of things can, like you said, those can definitely trip you up, definitely.
yeah,
It's almost like if I own a business and I don't have disability and something happened to me and I'm out. So now my business, you know, depending on what type of business I have, if it's just me or whatever, my business could actually shut down if I can't work and I don't have any disability insurance and things like that. Correct. So
yeah.
you really need to be protecting yourself at all time. Those are the type of things that can be wealth killers. But at the same time, like you're saying, if I don't have a budget, if I have no clue where my money's going and things like that, those are definitely wealth killers as well because you're not taking a look at where your money's going, the different types of things you could be doing with your money to actually start doing the types of things like he was saying, to be able to buy property and things like that. So that's a perfect example what I'm talking about. When I said it's not even about what am I putting the money in. I'm not here to argue about should I be doing a 401k, should I be doing an IRA, should I be doing a SEP or whatever. He chose to take his extra money and buy real estate, right? Nothing wrong with that. But the point is, he had a plan on how he wanted to retire or how he wanted to have extra money, and he felt real estate would do that for him. But now you see, now he's going back to put money into brokerage accounts and things like that. But at the time, he felt it was better for him to buy real estate. So again, it's the argument and the discussion is not about what is me downplaying or me talking bad about IULs or fixed annuities, something like that. That's not the point. Whatever you feel is your way of you being able to retire or you being able to grow your wealth and things like that, then you need to have a plan on how you're going to do that and stick to that, which as you see he did in that situation. You don't just wake up with 10 paid off properties, right?
No, that's all I was saying. That was a
They
journey.
weren't inherited, were they, brother? They weren't
Uh,
inherited, were they?
I mean, 10 doors is a journey,
Correct,
right? Period. Whether you
correct.
had it or not, that's a journey, right? And to get there and be like, man, I'm dealing probably because this is what they're selling you in the dream. Most people have real estate. That's what
Oh, yeah, I got plenty like I said, I got
millionaires and
plenty of
billionaires
clients who
have
have
it in their
2 or 3
portfolio.
doors, who have duplexes, who have all
It's
types
real
of stuff.
estate.
Again, like I said, but that's what they're choosing. If I'm having a conversation, I say it to them all the time. When we sit and we talk about what they got going on, I'm like, "You probably don't wanna have a conversation about maxing out your 401k, right?" And they're like, "Why?" A lot of them say, "Why are you saying that?" I'm like, "Because you're taking a bulk of your money and doing it in real estate. So you probably don't wanna have a conversation about your 401k. You're probably just doing the match or whatever, but you're not really interested in somebody saying, "Oh, put it in your 401k." So, it's gonna tax defer when you get to 65, you're gonna to 59 and a half, you're gonna have all this money in there, whatnot. Your plan is to retire in real estate. I'm like, "Yeah, of course." I'm like, "Okay, so let's have that conversation." As opposed to somebody saying, "I wanna retire off of my 401k." You see what I'm saying? So again, the whole point is when we're sitting down doing the financial map and talking about your goals, how you want to retire, if you say to me, I want to retire in real estate, then I'll say, okay, let's find the money to start buying these properties and build the reserves and stuff like that in case something happens in these properties, in case people aren't paying rent, in case something happens and stuff like that. Because like he's saying, he didn't say it, but what he's doing is a lot easier than, again, me having to worry about me collecting rent every month or my phone not ringing because something broke in one of these houses or something like that. Like he said, he's just investing the money every month, or like you said, he just took the lump sum of it and invested it. Now he just sleeps well at night. He doesn't have to think about it, right? He just, the money's just doing its thing. He doesn't have to worry about every month is somebody going to pay their rent, or
Wow.
if the property taxes are going to go up. That's like a big killer for a lot of my clients. A lot of clients are selling their properties because their property taxes are going up, and it's hard for them to pass that on to the renter, right?
Mm.
So if you go to the renter and say, "Hey, I got to raise your rent because
$200.
yeah, because my property taxes went up, so now I got to raise your rent." A lot of people, they think about moving.
Yeah.
So you really don't want to do that because you want to lose these tenants. So now I don't want to say you're operating in the red, but now I'm not as profitable because now I'm having to eat these property taxes. So so I can understand if he's like, hey, it's a whole lot of work, it's a whole lot of drama. Even though I have 10 properties that are paid off, like you said, most people are like, man, that's great, to have all that stuff like that. But it could be a headache. It could be a lot of work.
That's interesting because it sounds like you need to plan. You need to do like more, not necessarily estate planning, but you need to do more life planning.
Correct.
You would say what I want my latter days to be is I want to be at peace. I mean, that's what he said. He was in a better place. I'm like, wow. I know what that is. When now I was like, oh, I'm like, man, I know what a better place is. You don't need to tell me, right? Peace. Nobody's calling me. Nobody I don't have to deal with anything. Plumbing. There's a water break. The toilet, overflowing. Got to go over there. Inconvenience. And just knowing like it's there, it's growing, it's doing what it needs to do. I'm able to live my life the way I want to, and I don't have to deal with these different types of things. And I think that like the job that you choose, the spouse that you choose, like the where you put your money, um intentionally for it to grow and not let it just do whatever it wants to do. It wanders away, right? And so I was just thinking about that, just like life planning of like, what do you really want? You could do real estate, you could do this avenue, you could do your day trading, you could do all that. Is that what you really want to do? Is do day trading every day? And you want to do that every day? Is that something you want to do?
Correct.
Do you want to cut grass, in your 60s? There's some that do, right? They cut grass and they want to be out there and that's what they want to do. If that gives you joy, okay. If that gives you peace, but some of us don't want to be out in the heat at 60. I'm just being, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you plan earlier in your life so you can not do the things, or
Be
not
able
or be in
to
a situation that you don't want to be in your
correct.
latter days. So
Like a mentor told me a long time ago, you want to have options.
yeah.
You want to have options. And so you need to, as soon as possible, you need to start doing the things that create options for you. Like I said, it's great. It's really not great, but it's one thing for somebody to be 25, 30 years old and say, I'm never going to retire. Yep. There it is, like clockwork. There it is. No headache, no nothing. Exactly. But it's one thing for me to be 25 or 30 years old and say, I'm never going to retire. I'm never going to, I don't care, I'll deal with that later or whatever. And then you're 65, 70 years old, still working, not by choice.
Not by choice. That's all I was gonna say.
There are a
You
lot
don't
of
have
people,
that
don't get me
option.
wrong, there are a lot of people out here who are in their 70s and 80s and still working. God bless you. But there are a lot of people out here who are working, who are having to go get part-time jobs and stuff like that, not by choice.
Boy.
Not by choice because something has happened, um, not even bad decisions, as we're laughing, this has been a very interesting month or so of what we've been going through, of all the
Yeah.
things we've been going through. Life happens. Life happens, and it can really and truly drain you. It can drain your bank account. It can drain what you got going on. It could stop, put a pause on what your plans are, what your goals and things on. Like I said, You could be self-employed and, get hurt. Remember my car accident. You could be out, point blank. You could be out. And if you don't have insurance or you don't have another way of income coming in, stuff like that, and that's your income, not only does your retirement growth, put money into retirement, all that stuff, not only does that stop, you're struggling to pay your bills. You're struggling to figure out how to pay your bills because that was your income. You can get laid off. You don't even got to get hurt. You can get laid off. You get fired from your job and now you're trying to figure it out. So, you should really kind of have, and again, I know with, the way the economy is, the way how people talk about, how hard it is to struggle and stuff like that, but you've got to figure out a way to save money. You've got to figure out a way to have, some reserves, to have some money set aside, instead of just kind of living by the seat of your pants and you just go year by year by year by year. And then before you know it, you're in your 60s talking about, either I want to retire or in some cases, I got to retire, physically or whatever, I got to retire. I can't continue to work. I physically cannot continue to work. So what do I do in this situation? Because I'm not prepared to retire. So, like my man said, yeah, I guess it's a cool song. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's entertained by it. Everybody thinks it's funny, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna be funny when you're 60, 65 years old and you don't have a 401k or you don't have an IRA or you don't have any type of retirement. It's not gonna be funny.
It gets much deeper. When I was with my family this weekend. That went to the older church. They got more 60 plus folks in there. And when
Mhm.
they said they had two hip replacements and they had two knee, they got a new. They was talking like they was getting like car parts, right? I got a new. Oh, you got a new knee. You got to replace a knee, right? And I'm thinking like,
And the funny part about that,
I,
I'm laughing at? I'm smiling, and my man, he'll know because, like you said, we met on a cruise. That's come I go and do all this stuff now because it's like, man, I might be in my 70s and can't even move. So
man,
how the heck she
bruh,
make money? She gonna have all this money, but can't do nothing.
can't do nothing.
Can't do nothing. So, that's another side of it. But
So we
again,
can just
at
pull
the
out our
same
money
time,
out of 401k and go and live this life.
no, no, no. You still want to be able to create options.
I didn't,
If I
my
don't want,
condolences.
it's one thing if you get to that age and you can't physically do it. It's another thing if you get to that
Right.
age and you can't financially do it.
Yeah.
You understand what
Oh,
I'm saying?
oh yeah.
If
Go
I
ahead,
get to that
preach.
age, and what's even worse is I get to that age, and not only can I not financially go do those things, I got to figure out how to be able to go. I love that lady to death. Every Friday when I go get the car washed, dude. When I get out the car and she
Oh,
starts
she's still
acting
there?
every Friday,
Are you serious?
every Friday.
That
It
lady's
just
like
breaks,
in her 80s.
yeah. It just breaks
Like
my heart,
I'm
bro.
like at least 75, right?
Yeah. It just breaks my heart.
At
It
least
really does.
75.
It just breaks my heart. And no one can tell me she's doing that because she wants to do it.
In the heat?
Yep. No one can tell me, "No, Eric, she's choosing to work at the car wash and vacuum out cars at 80 years old." There's no one who can tell me that. And again, I don't know her situation, obviously, I don't have a conversation with her. I don't know how she got in this position or whatever, maybe her husband got sick, so she had to drain out all of their income or whatever, to take care of him. So there's no judgment at all. But the
Wow.
point is, you don't want to be that. You don't want to be 80 something years old.
Wow. Wow.
That's your life choices. I mean, I don't even like walking to the car because it's so hot out here. Imagine standing out there all day vacuuming cars out
You, and especially if you don't have that option.
if you don't have that option.
And I'd rather
And
have that
that's
option
and
than
that's
not
usually, like I said, when people are calling me and having these conversations now,
have that option.
that's the conversation. People are like, "Hey, I'm listening to what you're saying. We're looking at our numbers. It's not like back in the day, where my parents got pensions and things like
Mhm.
that. And everybody's talking about, you know, talking crazy about Social Security and stuff like that. So it's like we can't even count on Social Security and things like that. So it's like you've got to be making decisions to where that's why things. I'll be honest with you. That's why things like IULs and fixed annuities and things like that. That's why that's such a huge conversation now because the way that you're annuitizing them. So it's almost like pensions, right? That's all they say is all these guaranteed checks you're going to get from that. So everybody likes the aspect of that because again, I'm gonna need guaranteed checks because I'm not getting a pension anymore. Again, I'm not here to talk about the pros and the cons of those. I'm just saying that's how they sell them. If you see the videos and stuff like that, that's how they're sold. They say, hey, you put 750 in it, you're going to get $80,000 a year for the rest of your life. Okay. I'm not here to say if that's right or wrong, if those numbers are correct or whatever. I'm just saying that's the way that they sell it. And most people who are sitting back saying, I'm not going to be able to live off of that 750 for the rest of my life. That's going to run out. But this person's telling me if I put it in this account, I'm going to get 80,000 for the rest of my life. Again, I'm not here to check those numbers or say if there's right or whatever. I'm just saying that's what they're saying in the videos to convince you to do it. Not right or wrong or whatever. I'm just saying that's what they say because again, if I just have a pile of money doing the 4% or whatever, I'm either not going to have a whole lot of money when I take it out, or if I'm taking it out to live my lifestyle, whatever, I'm going to run out of money.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works. If I have a pension, whatever, I'm going to have a budget because I have a pension. If I have these guaranteed checks every month. I might not like it because, I'm on a budget or whatever of whatever these checks are, but I'm always going to get those checks.
Yeah.
So that's the
Good
difference.
stuff. That's good. Eric, as we close up, I got the little rapid fire. We got that financial turtle truth time right now. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go as usual.
You ready? You sure? This is
Yes,
turtle
sir.
truth time right here. I just made that up. Uh, uh all right. One financial habit everyone should start this week.
Read.
One financial habit everyone should stop today.
Living above your means.
Mm. One financial book everyone should read. That's a hard one. I ain't gonna lie. Right? It is today, right now. That's a hard one. I know. You got it in your
I'm
office.
gonna say financial literacy for all.
Okay.
I was gonna say Total Money Makeover, but
I thought you were gonna say
boy,
that one too. That's what I was thinking.
woo,
That was the first book I was thinking. But
boy,
anyway,
Dave be
yeah.
getting me beat up around here.
I know.
Good Lord.
One financial conversation every family should have.
Saving and investing.
Mm. What's one thing you hope people remember from tonight?
To become more financially literate and to ask questions if you do not understand and not just take what you see on social media as gold. If it seems like it's too good to be truth to you, sit down and have a conversation. Again, I have free conversations all the time. It's not just the 30-minute consultations. People call all the time. Say, hey, I have something I want to ask you real quick. You got 10 to 15 minutes. So I spend a lot of 10 to 15 minutes talking to people because again, it's where they saw something. Um, I am so happy because so many people call and say, "I watched your videos," or "I watched another video," or "I researched this, I read this, I saw this article, I saw this whatever, and I'm kinda having a hard time understanding it. Can you help me understand what this means? If I'm thinking about doing this, what are your thoughts?" and stuff like that. I love that. I absolutely love that people are out here, um, reading, researching instead of just, live by the seat of their pants, just doing things without talking to somebody who they can trust. And again, it doesn't have to be me. Talk to somebody who you believe you can trust, who you really and truly think understands what they're talking about and is gonna be blatantly honest with you and is not trying to sell you anything. That's the funniest thing on here. I think about it all the time. We've not tried to sell anything. We're just doing videos. We're not trying to sell anything. We're not trying to sell anybody a book, a course, none of that. We're just talking. We're just educating people. So again, I'm not trying to get you to buy into something or buy into a fund or, do this Ponzi scheme or, tell you I can help you fix your credit and all this and that. We don't do any of that. We just sit here and have these conversations. So I hope by doing these type of things, I hope we're building people's trust for people to continue to call and have these type of questions that people have when they talk to us.
That's good. Thanks, Eric. Really appreciate it. That was a good. Y'all give it up for Eric. Master Your Money with Eric Anderson, you guys.
So what are you supposed to be saying right now? Next week?
Next week, yes, next week we will have the live on next Thursday instead of Tuesday, you guys. So next Thursday at 7, we will be here and we will have the live instead of Tuesday, and that will be the 23rd. So the 23rd next Tuesday, just for that Thursday, we'll have the live. So if you have any questions or any ideas for topics or subject matter, if you would like to come on live with us, you would like to join Eric and I here on the live show, please let us know. And also, Eric is also doing consultations, so please reach out to Eric if you have any questions at all. That's it.
I'm good for tonight.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been the Master Your Money with Eric Anderson. I'm your host, Isaac Rowe. We're signing out for this evening. Y'all have a great evening.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.